visited by this strange creature called the Spider-Man. And he's dreaming basically about the other, obviously what other members of his band, and he kind of perceives these in various states, either across the way in another sort of house, or through a slight dream sequence, which is where the gauze technique is entered into the making of this film.
It's probably slower than that.
He's sort of just been lying, and he's a total victim of this Spider-Man.
All right, here we go. Playback.
Well, it's quite weird on this video. Like, I always go to him with, I let him hear the song, and I go to him a few days later with my ideas of how I think it should look, either like with definite sort of ideas or with a general sort of feeling, a general mood. I give him like a list of films that I think have the right mood, maybe some characters from other films that I think we want to capture. And with this one, we came up with, has his list of things, and it's really weird how they quite often coincide. Like we had very, very similar thoughts about this film, which is good. His are obviously more aimed at causing me extreme discomfort. I say a bed, and he goes, oh yeah, I agree with you, a bed, and then I arrive and it's a bed of nails, you know.
We've had like a very long ongoing relationship, because I've actually been working with Robert for about 8 years, which I think must be a record actually. It must be the longest monogamous relationship, and that's true, between a video director or a filmmaker and a group, because I think videos only really began in about 79. Right, and then I started working with Robert in 81, which is about 8 years ago, which is ridiculous, really. So anyway, that's interesting. But so in other words, very much the way we talk in answering your question is like, he goes blah, 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 I go blah, 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 and that's it. So that tends to be our sort of conversation. And it's really weird, because with him, and particularly with him, like, I'll hear a song and I really will understand it, and so we really do sort of work like that. So it's quite sort of simple these days.
Here we go. Robert, remember uncomfortableness. Yes, Chris? Yes. And playback.
I mean, I've got no ideas at all, basically. That's the way I work. I've got not a single idea in my head. And then a song comes along, and then I'll apply ideas to that song. The way I think of it is I'm not a babysitter, so I certainly don't get into that mentality of pandering to people's egos. But with someone like Robert, it's great, and all the rest of the crew, because they'll do anything, sort of thing. They're not proud at all, so they'll do anything. So there's no problems at all, really. But I certainly wouldn't ever get into babysitting people, because I'd be a very expensive babysitter, wouldn't I? You
Look, I collide there. This is like a lens, a very tiny lens in there, and you can see my finger sharp at that distance. And with not so good quality, you can also see a greater distance. Down this end, you put a light, which has been specially made, and it pours a lot of light out through the end of the lens as well. But the difficult thing is that I've already lit Robert with a very strong side light, and that's at a much lower light level. So what I've got to do is change the lighting, make the lighting much more powerful, make this work as well, and make it still look as if it was lit the way it was before. Well, at the moment, they're trying to work out a rig that will track from a mid-shot of Robert right into his mouth. And this probe has to actually go into his mouth. So it's a little dangerous for Robert.
No, it's good. He sort of reaches the point, sets everything up like we do in the group, and then just does it, and it doesn't matter if something might be wrong, you just do it because that's it. And it's a lot of the videos, particularly like this one, the Fascination Street wasn't really based very much on performance, it was more just mood. This one is like, it's focused really down hard on what I'm doing, so he's much more worried about what I'm doing on camera than really than.
You're talking about two sort of ultimate video bands in my mind, one of which would obviously be Talking Heads, I think, because they're like the American branch of it, and then you've got The Cure over here. Every video director in London wants to do The Cure, but I'm doing them. Oh, nice.
Shaking his head, creeps closer now, closer to the foot of the bed, and softer than a shadow,
godlike group. There's lots of new people doing stuff, but it's still, I find that a lot of the things I like aren't really mainstream. It's not any kind of snobbery, because I do like Prince, and I think Paul Rabdal's single's brilliant, the 12-inch mix of it. So I'm just very open to stuff. I don't really listen to it. I don't go seeking pop music, I must admit. If it sort of happens to fall into me, then I listen to it and try and get something out of it. But I like music to sort of to move me, really. I don't put music on and do things. I tend to sort of sit down and listen to it. So it's a bit difficult, you know, if you lay yourself open to too much garbage, you become tainted by it. So I try and be a little bit selective the older I get.
What about you? Is there a specific, like we were talking a little bit about earlier, whether there was a specific kind of music that you prefer to work with, but is there a specific
well, I mean,
kind of music that you
actually
like?
work. Well, I mean, obviously, I like the bands that I work with, which would mainly these days are The Cure, Talk, The. Say those are the bands I like. But actually, I listen to a lot of classical music at home, and sort of things like Bartok. I'm not going to sound pretentious on television, am I?
What a shame they're all dead.
And soon you will be.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh dear, I didn't say that. Was it?
All right, it's time for some more commercials here on MTV. We'll be back with more new videos and more new talk. More talk.
More new talk.
Oh.
We're on. All right, come on.
You know what I'm going to say? Down to the depths of my soul, that is the reason why we keep making records. Yeah, it's just dross, things like that. Again, it's that was like the one before it. It's like You Two Simple Minds, you know, stinking armpits and a leather jerkin. I mean, it's revolting. I've never met anyone that thinks that that's nice. Do you think that's nice?
No.
Do you think that's nice?
Well, I loved it. No, I have to be positive. I have to be positive. Let me stick up for them. Because, you know, what was really interesting was that they had a camera around actually as the song was being written. And I think as a filmmaker, I mean, if only I could be around, I mean, no, to capture that sort of spontaneity on camera, I thought was amazing.
That was a plus.
But no, then there was the idea, and then they had the camera there at the concert and everything, and the whole thing was taken through, and suddenly what was like a dream in the studio, is that what it's like in the studio? No, seriously.
It's one of those sort of happy accidents, you know, one of those just chance, fate, and it all falls together at the right time.
Oh no, it was amazing. Yeah. And it's suddenly they're on stage, and it's like it's played to a million people, and it makes me happy.
In fact, if you think about it in those terms, it fills me up, that video.
It fills me up too. I know what it fills you up with. What it fills me up with too. But otherwise, we liked it.
No, talking of the studio, you've just been in the studio putting an LP together. How do you proceed? Sort of like making an LP.
Oh, just like that. What happens next? It's completely haphazard, and we all just like, if we're all in the same place at the same time, we do something. That's how we work. It's just, you know, it's still sort of spontaneous. We try and keep it like that.
So what is The Cure? Is The Cure Robert Smith, or is The Cure a band? I mean, I'm slightly confused about that. I know we've probably been asked so many times.
It is a group, but like I said before, it's more than one group. I think it's been a lot of different groups, and the sort of the thread, I suppose, through it all has been my continuing presence. But I couldn't, like what The Cure does, I couldn't do on my own. So it is a group. It's very definitely a group. A lot of the songs wouldn't be written if I was on my own, because they're not all written by me. So
no.
There wouldn't be anyone to sing them if I wasn't there, but in some people's eyes it might be a good thing.
About half a year ago or something, I remember that I was talking on TV about Robert Smith's solo LP that I heard a rumour about, something like that. Is there any truth in that? And will
That's the beauty of your rumour.
You see, I've waited every day outside his door. I'm there with my camera, waiting for this solo album to happen every day. And what would I get? No, it won't. It's been done. I did it at home. I did demos of it all, and it's all finished. But I don't know. It just seems a bit silly to do something like that when the group's so good. It seemed a bit petted if I went off on my own, really.
Yeah. So
they'd only turn up anyway. And they'd sit down next to me on the piano stool and start going, "We've had this for a middle-aged barb." Loads.
All right, we have to see another video. Here comes a band called Alphaville, and the track is called Romeos. He didn't seem to move much there.
They ran out of money again.
I don't know if that was a mistake from MTV's side or if that was actually on purpose. Just didn't have a big enough budget to...
Good redeeming feature, though, that ending. I like that. If it had happened 2.5 minutes earlier, it would have been a good video.
What did you think of the video? Apparently this...
Yeah, go on.
Well, apparently this video is a video, the first for a whole LP, where they're planning to make a video for each track
was
done
nice.
by a foreign director and then put it together as some sort of feature thing.
Shame they couldn't have done them all at one go, so we wouldn't have had to wait.
No, this is right, I'm excited. But I thought there was a bit of a moral going on there, really. I think it said several things. I think it said, don't drink, right? No, it did. There was a bit with the drinking. I think it said, do not go on the buses and don't pay the fare, because you left that bit with that geezer sort of there. And I think, and the final point, I mean, never go, I always pay my fare. And the final point, I think it was saying, it was an anti-cigarette film. Don't put a fag in your mouth. And I think that's what it was saying.
So I thought that was the bit about the bloke on the bus, though. No, that's right.
I'll try.
Yeah, sorry. It was a bit confusing for me because I thought that he was sort of little. I thought he was like little, and then he's like wandering about with what looked horribly like a strange cigarette in his mouth, and like, just didn't make sense. And how could he live in a flat like that if he was little? So obviously he was old, and if he was old enough to own a flat like that and stuff, then it didn't make sense anyway.
I think the fact is we're old, we're not
No, it
modern.
makes you wonder.
Yeah. We're not modern.
Good though, but the ending was definitely good. I like that. I like the confusion it caused. You know?
I think I'm going to reenact the ending.
What about the Cure? No, you're coming up with all these great ideas for all the messages there was in this video. Do the Cure have they ever had a message in any of their songs?
No. Not really. We're not really a message sort of group, are we? I don't think. It's just we're a group it sort of deals with emotions rather than messages, I think. So the videos, in fact, only reflect a very small part of the group. I think when we did the Cure in Orange film, that was like trying to redress the balance a bit to try and put forward, because like the Cure's always been, ever since we started, a live band. It's a horrible term, but a lot of what we do is based around playing to an audience, and making videos and making records is a very sort of insular kind of thing, and it doesn't really have that communication that you get with an audience, and it's a very different sort of world. So I think the videos tend to reflect like a side of the Cure which is quite, I don't know, detailed and a bit sort of funny, a bit odd. So you couldn't really put a message in because they're not really serious enough. I don't think it's a serious enough medium of itself to start getting involved in messages. It's a bit, it would be a bit, you know, all you end up doing is just making a dull video.
We're running out of time here. We're about to see the last video on today's show, and that comes from a band called Rainbirds. I don't know. What did you think of that?
It definitely goes on much longer than that, because I was travelling back up from the West Country yesterday, and it was on a French radio station. It went on for about 20 minutes, and the middle bit's all like jungle noises, and it builds up and up and up. And I was sure it was like a Fleetwood Mac song that I'd never heard, which wouldn't be difficult since I never owned a Fleetwood Mac record. But it does sound to me like even on the second listen like Fleetwood Mac. But the video was all right. Anything with fishing, I like. I mean, you know, dogs and chickens for Pat, and anything with fishing goes.
All right, that was the last video in today's show, and I think before sort of we leave, we should hear a little bit about your tour plans, because we've been showing the tour dates here on MTV. Have you got sort of a specific look for this tour? Any specific plans for what the tour's going to be like?
Not really. It's called the Prayer Tour. That's its name. And the stage has become like organic. That's the only difference, really. And obviously, all the songs are different, and we're back down to a 5-piece. And it'll be completely different, really. If you've ever seen this before. No, if you've never seen this before, it'll be even more different.
I've heard that you've already worked, actually, or you've already finished the next video, yeah? Haven't you? Or
Sort of.
Sort of.
What's the theme for that one? More phobias?
No theme really at all. It's absolutely the opposite. It just shows people standing in smoke playing, and probably come on here and everyone will hate it.
All right then. Well, your single is out on Monday, yeah?
Yeah.
When's the LP going to be out?
May the 1st.
All right, we'll be looking forward to that. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
both of you, for joining me here today.
Yes.
And to the viewers, I hope that you'll tune in next week where we'll have lots of new videos. Stay tuned. Bye.